On March 11th, the World Health Organization declared COVID-19 as a global pandemic, and I had just landed in New York during a very pivotal moment of my life. I had just been to my first ever LGBTQ support group meeting, and for the first time in my life, I felt like I had control, and that was all about to change. Hello, 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 hello. I'm Noah Takes the World, and I want to use my platform to encourage empathy on LGBTQIA+ issues. I came out in the beginning of this year, and I want to dedicate my channel and my platform and my YouTube channel and my social media. I want to dedicate my platform to encouraging empathy on LGBTQIA+ issues. Sit back, open your mind, and subscribe. This is kind of a very abnormal upload. Like, I just wanted to do this video out of the blue. It's nothing related to my new content that is coming out soon. I am working diligently on making good quality videos about LGBTQ issues, and I feel like they're going to be very insightful, and I just don't want to rush those, and I have rushed a lot of content in the past, and it's not good. It doesn't turn out well, so just be patient. Thanks for being patient. I have a lot going on. I do. I'm looking. But yeah, those are gonna come out, but this I just wanted to cover, give you something to do, and to really divulge, because this is a crazy story, topic, experience. As you have probably seen in the news, it has officially been 1 year since the anniversary of COVID-19. We can all remember life before the world shut down, and it's honestly super surreal going back and like thinking about it, and just COVID brought a lot of suffering and pain and death to the world, and it's really troubling. I'm not trying to diminish any of that, but I do want to go back in time before everything shut down, like right before. COVID hit when I was starting to finally find myself and my passions. It really derailed me. And not to mention, I was in the epicenter of it in New York City. So it was a crazy experience. Also, like, what else can I do? Like, I'm still kind of stuck at home. It's a year later, but nothing's changed too much unless you're like Texas or something. I want to just continue to bask in the neon lights of Times Square from the comfort of my home, so we're gonna do that. And like, I feel like if I do not talk about this on my channel, it's kind of like I'm missing an important part of history. And I'm gonna be like 90 looking back and be like, girl, you should have talked about this. It was crazy. You know? Like, we're in history. This is herstory. And it's part of my coming out herstory. My history. It's the reason I made the video. Like, it's a lot. And it's the reason I'm wearing this shirt, because I got this shirt in Times Square. And this shirt, I did not get in Times Square. We love Prince, though. We do love Prince. We love Prince in this town. Plus, I want to share exclusive photos, videos, footage of kind of behind the scenes of my New York experience. And of course, I made a New York vlog. Coronavirus cancels in New York. It was a crazy good vlog, considering just the vibes and the equipment I had and just the amount of time. It was a good vlog. And I want to kind of react to those vlogs and look back and provide more insight. So, without further ado, let's get into it. This is going to be a fun video. I hope you're ready. Guys, I don't even know why I'm here in New York. Oh, girl, bye. It was March 2020. I had just been in a musical that had taken over all of my time. Like, literally no time because of it. And I also was planning to go to Chicago for a research conference to present research on the implicit racial bias. And I was also just got invited to go to Washington, D.C. for a special program for political science. Also, just attended my first ever LGBTQ support group. It had just gotten started. However, there was like a lot of crazy changes going on at my school. Like, at my school, we have an honor code, and in the honor code it says that you cannot be in a homosexual relationship, or else that's against the school policy, you can get kicked out, blah, blah. And so what happened was they took that section out for like a hot second, and people were like thinking, oh, they must have reversed it. And some people thought like, oh, now I can be in a gay relationship. Then they reversed it again, and they made a statement saying that was not intended to mean that. So there was like a lot of turmoil with that, and it was just like a very crazy March. March is always crazy, guys. So like, there's a lot going on, and I decided to hop on a plane in New York City while I was still hearing all this stuff about coronavirus and yeah, didn't think one thing about it. And like the day before I left New York, I remember there was like in a containment area for coronavirus, like pretty close to New York City. To think I was heading straight into the epicenter was it's crazy looking back now, because we don't do like even the slightest things that are a little risky. But before the pandemic hit, nothing seemed risky. And despite like all the growing worries about the pandemic, because I kept hearing it, and I would see it in world news stuff, but not like really USA news stuff. Like I wasn't really worried about it going to New York. Like I didn't have that mindset that people could actually all get sick from something that you can't really see, you know? Like I never experienced something like this, so I was kind of selfish, and I feel like a lot of everyone was kind of like that. We're very naive. Why'd the power go off? Guys, the power just went out, so the lighting might not be as good. My ring lights are not working, but I'm gonna film because the show must go on. As you will know later, the show did go on in Broadway. I don't know, I'm trying to make a Broadway reference because it's New York, but I really can't, so yeah, back to what I was saying. Like, I was so naive. I didn't even realize that the people for high risk of like dying from COVID were the older people. I was like, just learned that when I was with my group in New York. Like, they told me that. I'm like, I was so naive. But don't worry, like, we were hand sanitizing every second. And we weren't wearing masks though, because it wasn't the recommendation. Instead of like thinking about COVID, I was more thinking about my chance of being in the big city, my first time, and being able to be free. I didn't have to lie about having a girlfriend. I could wear a random pink crop top in the middle of the street and no one would think one thing about it. I could finally be honest. No one would spread rumors about me, and no one would try to get me kicked out of school. So yeah, I was really excited. 12 a.m. our time, 6 a.m. New York time. We're gonna party, have fun. And we left Hawaii on March 10th and then arrived to New York the following morning, March 11th. I was exhausted, but reasonably I did not want to rest. We got into the hotel and checked in, and I wanted to go. Like, I grabbed my makeup bag and I just started putting on tinted moisturizer on in the middle of half of my group in front of them. And I was just like, I wasn't gonna wait for the bathroom to open up. I was ready. And that was kind of a precursor to how New York would just make me feel so free, and like I didn't have to fake it anymore. I don't know why, but New York did that.
They don't make them like they used to. I'm living my best life in New York, darling.
And let me just tell you, no one in this group knew that I was gay. I'm sure they thought that. But I know I had officially came out to maybe 1 or 2 people on campus at that point. So then that day we went to Brooklyn, we grabbed pizza at the Time Out Market, and at the Time Out Market in Brooklyn, there was like a magazine that had all the Rupaul Drag Race Season 12 drag queens from New York on the front cover, and I was like trying to decide, should I say something about this? Because I knew every single one of them, and I was like, it was like this little struggle. I was like, what do I do? And thinking back, like, girl, you should have just said something. I was still kind of like fighting, how do I, this like New York free, but I'm also still with this group from BYU-Hawaii. So it was like this little struggle. It was a little struggle. But don't worry, even though I was kind of suppressing it, New York, she knew what she was doing. I was about to explode.
You better not pout, 'cause I'm living my best New York life. Because that's how I roll. I'm a queen, not a hoe. All I do is wear Ariana and my toe. And you wanna see a little bit of me? Well, you first better let me be myself. Now let me be myself. New York, let's be myself. And that's all we have but today. Subscribe. Oh.
So we got back from Brooklyn and everyone was like going back to the hotel. But I was like, no, I'm not. I'm gonna go to Broadway. Like, I made the rash decision of just being super jet lagged, hadn't slept for over 24 hours. I was gonna wait in the middle of Times Square in the ticket booth line to buy tickets to see Mean Girls. Ticket for one. I was going by myself, but I had to go see Broadway. Like, I was in New York, I wanted to see a show every night. I was not going to let the opportunity pass me by. And what also made me mad is I actually won tickets for the lottery for the Tina Turner musical, but no one would go with me, and I put in 2 tickets for the lottery. I should have just done 1. Then I could have gone, but my decision to stand in the middle of Times Square, alone, jet-lagged, tired, nervous because I'd never really been in a big city before. Anyway, all those emotions paid off because that was the last night Broadway was open and is still not been open to this day. So I got to watch the last Broadway show before Broadway closed, which for being my first show is kind of memorable. And also Mean Girls was just announced that it's not returning to Broadway, so like that was history. So I got my tickets, I went back to my hotel, I think I maybe took a power nap or something, or I don't know. I don't know. But I got back to the hotel, I put on a little, very light pink eyeshadow, and I was ready to go. I walked down Broadway and followed my little map on my phone to the Austin Wilson Theater, and I just sat down and was basking in myself. Like, I felt so cool. I was going to a show, I was free, I was wearing a little makeup, and it was a vibe for sure. It was very liberating. I was so happy I was able to have this experience before the world shut down. Then the next day was March 12th, and our group decided to, first we went to our conference. The reason we came to New York City, which was to go to a newspaper, college's convention. So yeah, we went to that, and then after that we went to the 9/11 memorial, and then the next day the memorial would close because of the pandemic. So again, we kept going to these things that were closing. Photo shoot. It's just perfect. It has color, it has skies, and it has vibes. So the sun was going down and our phones just kept buzzing. There was so many announcements and so many things happening all at once. Events with more than 500 people were supposed to be canceled. Broadway was shut down, and our conference that had just started was supposed to be canceled by Friday at noon, and it was Thursday night, so we're gonna have a day and a half of the conference. My plan to go to a Broadway show every night was ruined. And then we found out that our school was going all online, and they encouraged us to go back to our homes if we could. We're freaking out. And this was just like the very beginning of all of my plans crumbling because of COVID. I really started to make plans, and like I knew direction of things I want to do in my life. I was going to Chicago for a research conference. I was going to DC for a special program. I was gonna eventually go to Africa for a internship. All these things were over because of COVID. And I was also planning on coming out to my family at my sister's graduation in Utah. And of course, that was canceled also. So like, I was going through a lot. Everything I had planned to kind of make my life authentic, real, and meaningful was starting to just collapse. What was the natural response, you might ask? Get cheesecake and flood Times Square. Guys, I'm freaking out. I just had cheesecake, too much sugar, a milkshake. Oh, okay. School has been canceled, right? Canceled. And I'm shook, and I don't know, there's a lot going on right now, and I'm in New York, and it's enough for me to be freaking out.
We're freaking out a little bit.
Like, this has just been a crazy day.
Insane.
Insane.
Church has been canceled.
Church has been canceled.
School has been canceled. The convention has been canceled.
The convention's been canceled.
The human race is
The reason we
canceled.
came here has been canceled. And like, although I was really freaking out, and like, as you can tell from my vlog, I felt so free. I was with a group of people that I loved, and that they were super just open, caring, compassionate, etc. So I bought Ariana Grande merch at H&M, and I like changed in the store, which I hate doing. But I wore like the stuff I bought, and just was running through the streets wearing Ariana Grande merch that didn't fit me. It was very amazing, and I felt so free, and I kind of felt like I was out. You know, I didn't feel anymore. I was in a closet, even though I hadn't like announced it. I felt super out. It was a really crazy feeling because there's all this fear happening around me, but I was somehow finding myself and like feeling so happy in my own skin. Like, I'd really overcome the internalized homophobia that I felt within myself, which was If you don't know what that means, it basically just means the self-hatred that I inflicted because of being gay, and it's seen as bad in the world. You kind of feel like you are bad and that you are sinful, that you're terrible. But I kind of felt I was authentic, real, fresh, amazing. Like, I had all those things kind of dissipate. It was just me, New York, and the streets, and the vibes, and the lights.
School's cancelled, we're going insane. Coronavirus everywhere, we're doing good. Look at that, look at that.
So with these, like, two very different pictures, this very excited, flamboyant, coming out boy, enjoying his life, fear, COVID, cancel. The next day was March 13th, and it was, like, the final day of our conference, because we had till noon to, like, stop it because of the new order from the mayor or the governor or something. And I was kind of determined to make the most out of this conference because it was a really cool opportunity, and I wanted to make the most out of it, and that possibly meant I had to out myself. So here's what happened. So, like, this conference had, like, lunch groups for affinity groups, meaning there's, like, a group for women, Latinx, Black. You could go to those groups if you identified in that community. It was, like, for marginalized communities. And there was one for LGBTQ people. And I was like, girl, should I go? Meanwhile, there's, like, literally no one at this conference because everyone left because of COVID, and no one really came because of COVID. My whole group would see me going into the room that says LGBTQ on it. I was very worried. I was like, I'm gonna out myself, people are gonna know. I don't wanna, cause I had worked so hard to, like, keep this facade that I wasn't gay because I wanted to eventually come out and no one would know it, and it was, like, special, and no one would ruin that for me, my time to actually finally come out. So I didn't want to, like, spread it around and be like, oh, I'm gay, you know? And I was like, should I do it? And I don't really remember what happened, but I kind of, like, I said, oh, I'm just gonna stay here. I'm gonna call my family or something. I did something. I left my group, and I made myself into that room, and there's only one other LGBTQ student from another college that was in the meeting. So it was good I came because they would have been all alone. And it was, like, an awesome opportunity to talk to someone who I didn't know at all, who I could just bear everything to without feeling like they're gonna tell others, it's gonna get out. Like, it was a great experience, and it really helped me, and it was very amazing, because I usually don't just bear my feelings for a stranger. Like, I'm not that type of person, but I really had a great time doing that. So New York was really just turning this on. After that, we headed to Hudson Yard. We hit the Leviathan. Like, we didn't even plan to hit that. Let me make sure that's even what it's called. Hold on, guys. Leviathan. I'm pretty sure that's... Oh, I have no internet because the power is off. If it's not called the Leviathan, I might edit this out, or I might not, because that might be funny. And then we walked through Central Park and got cookies, and it was just literally pure bliss. And my facade that I'm the straight male person was starting to just crumble. The next day was our last day in New York, and we were supposed to go, to the conference this day. But of course it was canceled, so we kind of had just a full day in New York City. No, we're not laying low or anything. There's not really any restrictions yet. I decided. I woke up early. I got ready. I said, I'm going to go to Stonewall Inn by myself. I'm going to ride the subway to the West Village. I'm going to find it. I'm going to do this. And it was just a great experience to be able to go to one of the most famous landmarks in gay history. Something that started the gay rights movement when gay people finally started to fight back against the police for discriminatory laws. So I'll talk more about Stonewall in a different video, but it was just really cool to be able to go there. And like, there's this tour group there, and I was trying to listen to what they were saying. And like, I had worn eyeshadow to that event, to my outing to Stonewall. And I came back right before my group came to do something else, and I was still in my eyeshadow, and I was still basking in that. And some people asked me where I went. I told them. I said, I went to Stonewall Inn. What's that? One of the most famous gay landmarks in history. And I was like, I'm literally gonna out myself. But then I came to the realization, why am I hiding so much? What's the reason? Like, I can tell people things like this that I trust. And I did. After we went to the Statue of Liberty in Soho, like, we came back, it was nighttime. I decided on my last night in New York, I was gonna get my pink crop top I had bought at H&M. I actually had bought this crop top for Heather, my best friend, but I was so crazy. I was like, I'm gonna wear it. I wanted to wear it, and I wore it going all the way to Koreatown, and yeah, and I didn't even care when people would like say, oh, pink crop top, bro, what are you doing? You know, it's New York, what do you expect? And I didn't even care. I was living. I felt so free. Even though like the world was about to just close everything, I still felt so free. And then the next morning we headed back to Hawaii. It was March 15th, and then the CDC recommended that there is no gatherings of 50 plus people. And everything from then on was different. I basically quarantined when I got back to New York. And then after quarantine, I went back to my house in Indiana. It's still not been the exact same ever since. It's just hard to put into words what this experience meant to me and why it's so impactful. Just like I had this really high euphoric experience right before everything shut down and changed. It was very, I needed it. It got me through quarantine. It helped me give me like perspective, and like I was so happy with being out, and I wasn't afraid. Like I don't need to be afraid to come out, even if I feel like it's dangerous. You know, like it was just such an impactful journey and a great progression of how I came out. It helped me overcome so much internalized homophobia in such a short span. And so just looking back at the pandemic, you know, it's changed the world, of course, and it's affected people in many different ways. I've really not been very negatively affected by it, you know. Been able to have a job, being able to go to school. I've been able to go back to Hawaii. Of course, I'm not in school right now in Hawaii, and I was able to still get an internship. Like I've been really lucky, but I just wanted to look back because I feel like this was history, and it really impacted me. And I'll never forget this experience. It's been a year since I've been in New York City, and I want to go back. I want the world to return to normal, but I need to find a happiness and peace and joy like I did in New York right in this very moment. So I'm gonna wear my Prince shirt, live my fantasy, regardless of where I am. I know it takes the world. I'll see you on the next upload. Let's continue to have empathy for everyone. Goodbye. I'm living my best life in New York, darling. Toodles.